to start our study session. All righty, I have item 8, and I will know by Monday if it's going to be ready. Councilor Caldwell.
Good day, everyone. Thank you, Madam President. Blessings to all. I have Julie,
Hi.
Commissioner LaFave up here. I have items 9 through 18.
Okay, thank you. Item 9 and 10 was the item that was introduced at the last meeting, but you asked for further clarification, so it is on Schedule A. We're requesting 2 subcontract utility tractors, 2 quick hitch rotary brooms, 2 compact wheel loaders, additional utility vehicles and golf carts required for creek walk maintenance, special events and golf course, additional tractors needed for park snow removal, and then additional trailers, attachments, and accessories.
Thank you.
Okay.
Item 11.
So item 11 through 14, these are 2 out of 3 that we discussed for the request to change the name of an amenity within a park. There is a third one. It was a mistake made on my part, but it's going to be introduced as a waiver item on the this agenda.
Yes.
I do have representatives from the families here if you'd like to, for them to say a brief summary.
At the public hearing, they will
Okay.
have the opportunity.
Okay, and then so I'd like to request too that the third one that was left off also has that same public hearing. Okay. All right, thank you. So you can go if you want. Okay, skipping ahead then to 15. 15, 16, and 17 are related to our wildlife management plan. We are entering year 4 of this. So the first one, number 15, is our annual seeker, just for the actual activities that we're doing. Item 16 is the actual agreement with USDA APHIS to perform the wildlife management program for us. Number 17 is an agreement with Marshmallow Ranch. They process the meat. There is no cost to the city for this. They do it through part of the Venison Donation Coalition.
Can I ask a question
Absolutely.
about that, though?
Absolutely.
So when they do that, are they testing the meat? Because I've been reading a lot about the deer having COVID and different things. Do they test that meat?
I can't speak specifically to that because I can
Can we
ask.
find out?
Yes, yes. I will contact USDA, they will know. So test meat. I would hopefully say yes because all of the meat is donated to be consumed, but I will get a confirmation for you.
Because, we make assumptions about things. And
No, I know, absolutely. I'll get an answer when I will not be here on Monday, but I will get you an answer before then.
Okay.
Item number 18, so this one, the council already authorized work through TMI, that was for the pool conversion. This is a company that's out of Washington. They did not realize in time that they are not certified to do prevailing wage in New York State. So the work's been done, the subcontractor did the work, so this won't cost us any money. TMI is deducting a portion, the $55,000 off of their bill, so we're just gonna pay it to their subcontractor, which is Sundance Leisure. Because they are authorized to do prevailing wage.
And they're from where, Washington State?
They
you
are
say?
from Binghamton, no, Sundance is from New York State,
Okay.
and those are all my items.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, Councilor Green.
Madam President, we'll start with item 19, which is the lease with Verizon.
Good afternoon, Councilors. Matt Ojay, Commissioner of Assessment. We would like to withdraw this one. Might be reintroducing at some point with different terms.
Okay. Item 20 is the correction of the tax rolls. I know the council received a legal memo this morning. I reviewed it. I still have some questions about it. So I think that would be best discussed in the executive session on Monday, if the council is okay with that. Okay. Item 21.
Good afternoon, Janet Burke, the Director of Research. This is a request for us to take on Sarah Stevens from SS Funding and Procurement as a consultant to help us look for grants, apply for grants, and manage grants. This is ARPA money that we had actually put aside for her last year. We put aside 18, you approved $18,000 last year, of which 6 was spent. This is the remaining 12.
So Janet, she's going to be looking for grants for all departments?
Yes,
across the
just,
city?
yep, whatever whatever she finds, whatever department it is, we'll be able to take a look at that and.
She's not gonna apply for us, is she?
No, but she will work on the applications with us, yes.
Other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Item 23.
It's the same.
Is it 23? 22 is the same as 21.
Afternoon, Councilors. Dave Proack, Director of IT. Item 23 is a proposal from Spectrum to perform an upgrade at a series of our parks and fire department locations. We're upgrading the service at the fire barn, Spencer Street over at Parks, and a couple other parks and fire department locations. We're going to have a whole series, a cascade of these coming over the next few months. This is the first batch. Everything will be covered by IT in our current budget.
Questions? Okay, so is that's just 23?
Yes.
Okay, do you have 24 as well?
I do.
Go ahead.
I'm back. This is requesting a release of our cash capital for 22-23 for IT.
So I asked this for the police department, and I'll ask for you too, the phone replacement. So is this desktop phones?
It is.
Is that something we anticipate? Like, I just feel like increasingly you're seeing offices go away from desktop phones and going to our cell phones. Is that, what's our long-term vision of how long we're going to have desktop phones for?
Well, a lot of businesses go to a hybrid mode, but we're a different sort of business here. We're always going to have a presence here at City Hall in some manner. Our phones that sit on your desks are 10, 11 years old. All right, and they're starting to fall apart, they're starting to break. So we're starting to stage a series of replacements for them. So to answer your question in terms of the big bang, that's not crystal clear to me here, but I know we're going to have people here in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think there's always going to need to be some number that, especially the public can call in and know someone's going to answer. But I also think individual phones will maybe go the way of like a payphone, like that.
Yes,
You don't see them anymore.
It
right?
is,
So,
and as the city as a whole embraces Microsoft Teams more, there's a lot of choices there that would help that hybrid model go forward. But we're only probably a third of the way into, with this purchase, a third of the way into replacing the phones we have in place now that are 8, 9, 10, 11 years old.
Okay.
So,
as long as we're cognizant of looking
Yep.
towards the future.
But out of the 625, the 60 is going toward the phone replacement, right?
yes.
For the existing ones.
Yep.
Other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Gathers.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 25 through 28. 25 and 26, we're going to have a committee meeting tomorrow, 11 a.m. in regards to that. But if we have Ms. Driscoll, did you want to say anything, or? Yes.
Excuse me. It's not regard to this particular thing here, item here, it's just regard to Surrey Sale Point Blank.
Right. It's just in regards to the slurry seal, the
I just
price.
wanted to make sure that we
Right.
didn't have it wrong.
Right.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Are there any questions in regards to these two items at all, or? All right, thanks. Items 27.
Good afternoon, councilors. Corey Dunham, Chief Operating Officer for the city. So this is an amendment to our contract with Laz Parking, which now operates and maintains our parking garages to provide a shuttle to employees who are parking at the Washington Street Garage. As many of you know, we have about 100+ employees that are parking at the Washington Street Garage. This is a request made by our employees. This first arose during contract negotiations with CSEA, and so it would be running, mainly during the rush hour, during a 2 or 3 hour window in the morning and in the afternoon.
What's the latest time that an employee is here in this building, or?
I mean, it depends, I think if oftentimes, I think the alarm is set around 9:30 or 10, and it's not unusual for me to get a call that somebody left the building and just set off the alarm. So, I mean, there are people that work here after hours, but, we wouldn't be able to accommodate all of those folks, but we would be looking to run it probably 7 to 10 in the morning, and then maybe 3:30 to 6:30 in the evening.
So in addition to purchasing a shuttle, you don't specify what type of vehicle, how many people fit in that vehicle, who would run that vehicle?
So Laz would be operating it. We'd be looking for probably something in the ballpark of a 14-passenger van. We wanted to make sure it's not something that requires a CDL to drive, because obviously CDL drivers are at a premium, and getting somebody to run a shuttle is probably not the best use of their CDL. So we'd be looking, but it would be operated by Laz, so that way it doesn't become our headache, my headache, that somebody called in sick in the morning and now we're scrambling to try and find somebody to drive the shuttle. It would be run and operated entirely by Laz.
So we have to pay them additionally for a driver as well?
So we would be paying them to purchase the van, and then they would bring on an additional staff person.
Excuse me, so that's the confusion I had into the legislation. It's going to become our van. It's the city's van, correct?
So, I mean, the way that we have it, they are purchasing it on our behalf. So at the end of the contract, once we've fulfilled the obligations, then it would become our vehicle.
Wait, we get the van at the end of this? Or
we're paying them to purchase the vehicle on our behalf, so.
Well, I'm just thinking about the van, when it isn't being used as a shuttle service, the city could use it, probably.
We could certainly, if we could certainly talk to Laz to say, we could use it for other purposes. I think they're open to meeting the city's needs in that way.
Pay for the maintenance.
It's all on Laz. It doesn't fall on us entirely, so as not to further tax our mechanics and the issues that we have maintaining our own vehicles.
So we're like leasing the van to Laz.
I mean, they're operating it.
The money to.
Right. Yeah, we're paying them to buy it on our behalf, and they're operating it.
What about liability, Corey?
So it would all rest on Laz. I mean, Laz is operating the entire thing, so.
But we pay for that ultimately, so if it's expensive insurance, that's right back on us to pay for.
I mean, we're self-insured. I mean, the total cost there is $100,000. That's what it costs to operate from insurance to hiring the person to purchasing the van.
So who's going to hold the title to the vehicle?
I mean, until we purchase it from Laz, Laz would have it, but we're paying them for the van. I didn't realize vehicle ownership would be the sticking point. I'm happy to get more details from Laz on that.
Well, I think it is. It's $100,000. I mean, how much is the van going to cost? And then we're going to pay them also for the.
We have that details. I'd be happy to get you a breakdown of the budget.
So Corey, after the years of, say we do this for 5 or 6 years, right? And we pay off the actual vehicle price, like would our contract go down? So would it next year, what's going to be the
price? So once we own the van, and Laz had made the offer to us. They said, do you want to buy the van or do you want us to buy the van? And we have so much trouble procuring vehicles right now, and they have more flexibility than we did. We said, why don't you just purchase it? It really was pretty much a wash in terms of the cost. And just to be clear, this is through the end of the contract with Laz, so it's about another 2 years. And so if the contract with Laz ends, so does the contract for the shuttle, because they'd be the ones providing it. So, this is a conversation that obviously we can also revisit when we come before you, if we come before you to say we want to renew the contract with Laz. So, it's not in perpetuity until the end of time, or until we decide, 10 years down the road we don't want to do it. It's a very clear commitment. And so, once we purchase the vehicle, then, we could revisit the cost with Laz.
So we're purchasing the vehicle now and then also paying them to actually drive it?
It's for the driver, for the staff to drive it.
So next year, our contract should be $100,000 if we go ahead with it.
I can double check with them. They kind of built the budget based on a 2-year commitment, because it would be for the length of their contract.
So can we see that full budget with what the staff is going to cost
Yeah.
to operate it, what the vehicle, the insurance?
Yeah, I'd be happy to provide that
To say
information.
that this is to purchase a van is kind of episodic, and we should see the whole picture.
Sure,
And
happy
the other
to.
question I have is 100 employees roughly park in that garage?
At least, which the number is only going to go up when we move over to
This
Park
is a 10 to
Place.
15 passenger van, so let's say the employees all show up within a 15-minute time frame. They're going to have to wait 10 rotations to get all those employees 5 blocks.
That's assuming everybody's going to want to take the shuttle, and I'm sure there will be some people who will choose to walk because they want to walk. We are creating a walkable city, and so we'd love to have people walking downtown. But for those who want to take the shuttle, you know, it would just become, I've lived in apartment complexes that had a shuttle. I just needed to time my commute with the hope that I would make this shuttle. If I don't make that shuttle, I make the next one. I mean, you know, and the option is always there for folks to walk.
That's a pretty pricey shuttle if there's only 20 employees taking it.
Well, I'm not saying it's going to, we don't know. We won't know until we do it. I can tell you from the results that we got from the survey I sent out at the end of last year, it was over 90% of the people that responded said, yes, I would use the
And I
shuttle.
know the counselors want to jump in, but I just want to ask you, because we talked about this earlier, so you're going to actually reevaluate it
Yes.
to see where we are,
Yes.
correct? To see if we need to do summer or winter or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, Laz will collect the data on our behalf. I think anecdotally we'll also be able to tell whether or not people are using it. If it ends up being a service we don't want, we cut ties. If it ends up being a service we only want to explore in the winter, then we talk about that with Laz. I mean, they're very open and flexible to structuring this in a way that meets our employees' needs.
So we're big into pilot projects here in the city. So what about a pilot where we outsource a van, just like we're outsourcing to Laz, and actually test it for a period of time in different seasons and say who would actually take the shuttle?
So I think that's what we're trying to do here. I don't know that you're going to find somebody who's willing to make the upfront investment for a 3-month period of time. We're kind of a fan of pilots.
Corey, and I don't know where, maybe this is just me, I'm stuck at where we are spending $100,000 in a place where we make it walkable in downtown.
Right, yes.
And we have a struggling population, and we're going to spend $100,000 just to, I'm still stuck there.
So I think this does not need to be an either or. I think we are committed to making a walkable city. We've done more, at least in my time at the city, more for pedestrians with the municipal sidewalk program, with sidewalk snow removal. I don't think anybody can question our commitment with bike share of creating a city that it's easier to navigate. Obviously, we're just starting on that effort.
Corey, I'm sorry.
But I mean,
I'm not questioning that at all. I'm not questioning the motives and the action that this city has done to promote walkability, simply even in downtown,
Right.
which is great. You know, downtown should be walkable because
And so should business
Right,
corridors
right.
and neighborhoods and every place that we're clearing snow.
And I think we have done a great job, but I'm still stuck at where from federal building to here we need a shuttle.
So-
And I think Council Green has made a point yesterday where he said that if we have, and I recognize that there may be employees in this city that may need that accommodation. I get that.
Right.
But spending $100,000 in a struggling city on a shuttle, I don't get that.
So, Counselor, I can appreciate that. The individuals that park in Washington Street Garage earn probably among the lowest salaries we have. I have the privilege of walking out of City Hall and going across the street to park. I do not have to walk just about to West Street to get to my car and to get to my job. And their requirement to be here at their assigned time doesn't change. I think we had a very robust conversation around the salary structure of our city employees. And this was really, the heat rose on this because the same people who have to park at Washington Street Garage, many of them work in the payment center, in the call center where people make their payments, work for the call center, and they were getting screamed at because they could not find parking around this building because staff were parking here because of the walk down to that location. Now, I don't believe that it is our business to ask an individual whether they have the health ability to walk all the way down there. They came to us and said, is there an opportunity to have this? And so Corey did the survey, we had the response. We know you usually get half of the responses from a survey, but overwhelmingly people said yes. I think for individuals who make almost the least amount of money in the city of Syracuse government, to provide this perk for them to look at for a year. And if we want to call it a pilot, then let us call it a pilot. but to look at it. Maybe we won't need it during the warm months, but it is going to be, not going to be, it's cold right now.
Oh, I know.
And so, we believe that this is a tool, it's an asset that we can provide for our employees who came to us for the service.
Well, I'm going to allow other councilors to comment. I'm struggling with this, but go ahead.
So just one clarification. So if an employee were to come to us now with a doctor's note or something like that saying they're not able to do it, do we currently accommodate?
So if somebody comes to me with a handicap parking tag, I make accommodations for them. I don't ask them, why do you need it? They produce the tag. Some people are going to have conditions that don't rise to the level of a handicap parking tag, and I don't know that it's entirely fair to make employees disclose to me their medical conditions or limitations
So I
of
think
why
that-
they can't make that walk.
So I don't think we would need to know the specifics medical conditions, but I think it's possible for a doctor to write a note saying, this person due to medical issues is not able to walk, and then I hope we accommodate them now, right? If someone were to come to us now and say, my doctor is saying I shouldn't walk, that we would put them in one of the lots
But
that's
I mean,
closer.
I'm 5 months pregnant, and I've suffered 2 miscarriages, and I'm not comfortable making a 6-block icy walk to and from my car every day. I'm not going to get a doctor's note for that. There's nothing that says physically I can't do that. People have limitations that might not rise to the level of a doctor's note or a handicap parking tag, and we want to make that accommodation for folks. We want this to be an accessible, inclusive workplace where people feel comfortable coming to work, and we believe that this amenity is one that will help to attract and retain employees.
And so the other thing I would say, so first of all, I think I speak for all the counselors when we're really grateful for the contributions of the employees here, and I don't want this debate to be in any way that we're not grateful for everything that everyone does.
Well,
but
and this is one way to express that gratitude.
So another thing to say is, if you're saying we're one of the
the
lowest paid employees in City Hall, the cost of this would be around, depending on how many people use it, $1,000 to $2,000 per employee. Like, is giving them a shuttle the best way to show that appreciation, or should it be part of a discretionary bonus or other structures?
So this is coming from them. They asked us and said, this is a way to express your appreciation towards us, is providing the shuttle. There are a number of people who have the privilege of parking around City Hall, and CSEA came to us and said, on behalf of our employees who don't have that privilege and don't have the level of comfort to make that 6-block walk in wintry conditions, we'd like to have a better accommodation for them. So this came from them. This isn't my idea to express gratitude to our employees. This came from employees to say, we realize that there are limitations as a municipality of what we can provide, and so we are asking for a shuttle for accommodations so that employees who don't have the privilege of parking around City Hall can get to their workplace in a way that they feel safe and is more accessible for them.
Corey, do you know how far a walk that is? Like a mile, half a mile?
So it's half a mile. I mean, and it's 6 blocks, and I don't know if any of the counselors have had the privilege of taking that walk in the winter. I have. It's brutal.
Corey, the county's IDA is down there, and I've often had to walk up there in the winter.
Yeah, it's cold.
And I just want, and I appreciate your concern with our employees. And I know the 100 employees, I may imagine we could make accommodations I know a lot of these people have to do face-to-face with the public, but some of the people don't. And if we would make accommodations for them to do.
There are 4 spots right in the island right in front of City Hall that I could give them that are currently reserved for other folks. I mean, it's just, we are limited in.
No, that's not gonna happen.
That was meant as a joke. I'm just saying, we are limited in terms of what we're able to do around the building. Lot 3 is already beyond capacity. Fayette Garage, we're about to take over when we move over to One Park Place. There are limitations. We want to make this building accessible to the public, which is why we got rid of all the staff parking, pretty much every single spot on Market Street that was dedicated to staff. We've taken all that, dedicated it to the public so that they can access it. We want this to be an inclusive, accessible workplace, and we don't feel like a shuttle is too big a perk or an amenity for folks. We're limited in terms of what we can provide in terms of salary increases and paying what the market does. And I don't think, we think that having a shuttle is an investment in our workforce. It's coming from our employees. And
Let's ask these people if they want $1,000 more in their paycheck every year instead of like a shuttle.
Well,
what would that poll?
There are, I mean, if we want to bring everybody who works for the city up to market rate in terms of what they can.
Negotiates the contracts, why don't we negotiate the contracts and give them some money in their paycheck?
We did. We gave them 3% raises. We gave them incentives for not calling in sick.
Some of the other unions got.
So I find it, this is coming from our employees. This is not coming from, this isn't a brainchild of me. This is coming from our employees. It's a 6-block walk. It's cold. It's dangerous. You know, in terms of the icy conditions, they're asking for a shuttle. Lots of other employers provide this. You know, we have an issue with attracting and retaining employees. I have heard from department heads, this would be a perk. This would be something that would make it easier to retain employees. And, you know, $100,000 for each year for a 2-year commitment. You know, if it winds up that this is not successful, we don't see the metrics that we think justifies the cost, then we pull it. Perhaps it opens up opportunities again. More people are going to be more city employees are going to be going down to the Washington Street Garage. 100 is the floor. It's going to go up when we move down to Park Place.
One other question, just to clear up this ownership deal. It looks like we're either giving $100,000 to Laz or purchase of a vehicle. And they're going to run it and all that. And they're going to get the vehicle. Or we're buying the vehicle, giving it to Laz, and we're going to have a non-city employee drive that city vehicle around ferrying our people.
Correct. I mean, Laz makes purchases of equipment on our behalf, you know, in the garages, they purchase windows and doors on our behalf.
As insurance goes and things like that, we'll have a non-city employee driving a city vehicle.
A non-city employee who, you know, and again, you know, I'll turn to Joe Bayer in the law department to make sure we're protected in every way we can in terms of liability, but the liability will rest with Laz. They're the ones that are operating this.
I have a quick question, Corey.
Yes.
Is there any way we could get, if this was to go through, a bigger van, so there would be so many back and forths?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we find that the demand is there, again, Laz is very flexible, you know, and they understand that we're doing this for the first time. We don't know exactly how this is going to play out. We don't know what the demand is going to be. Maybe the demand is going to be greater. Maybe people who right now have to pay, you know, $80 a month to park at a lot near City Hall will say, you know what, now that there's a shuttle, I'm going to stop paying that because I can barely afford it anyway, and I will move down to the Washington Street Garage because that's a perk I'm offered as a city employee. I can park for free and take a shuttle. So, you know, we don't know what the demand is going to be, but if it requires, you know what, let's go with a bigger vehicle with less stops, then, you know, flexible to do that.
One more question, Mike. How long is employees' lunch?
I mean, it depends. Generally, we're speaking usually 45 minutes, and then they get a 15-minute break during the day.
That's it. Thank you.
That's usually.
Thank you.
So just to build on your point, Councilor Caldwell, what I'd be very supportive of is giving our employees free Centro passes. There are, I believe last time I looked, 6 lines that run along Washington Street that connect this corridor. They're bigger, so they can run more frequent, potentially, in the rush hour. They're also more accessible. I mean, the Centro buses can go down to the curb, whereas I don't know exactly what kind of vans we're going to get, but if you're in the back of a 14-person van, that can sometimes be hard to get into, especially if you're someone with mobility issues. And I think if we were to give a Centro pass, then it's a benefit to our employees that not just during this rush hour, but if they want to move around the city or go other places, that would be something they could use. And I think it's consistent with what we're trying to do is invest in transit. So that's just my personal thing, and that's my last.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a different solution than the one that we're proposing. And I would be interested to see whether or not Centro can provide us the frequency and the control over the service that we would get by doing it through Laz. And just for what it's worth, our transit system is what it is. And we are working, you know, with Centro as a partner to introduce BRT, to get that up off the ground. The transit service is not going to be any better or any worse if we introduce a shuttle to address our employees' needs. Our transit system is what it is. We're working to improve it, and that work will continue, but it won't be impacted by whether or not we introduce a shuttle intended for employees.
It does set a key notion. If the city is saying, we believe in public transit, we're going to give our employees free transit, that's extra money that goes to Centro, and it gives them more operating funds. So I do think it matters.
We take a multimodal approach. I mean, I don't remember when we introduced the scooters, that it was, oh, you know, if people's taking a scooter, then they're not going to walk. We want streets and we want our workplace to be accessible to scooters, to people who want to walk, to people who are not able to make that walk. We want this to be an inclusive, accessible workplace.
Corey, I'd like to say thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, CSEA, we appreciate everything that you've done for this. Oh, you have one more question?
Oh, one more question. Corey, I'm sorry. No, just something I was thinking of. So with all the parking we have, basically, just so I understand this, the higher rank you are in the city, the better parking you're getting? Is that what we're sort of saying? And the lower ranking you are, you're...
That's not necessarily true.
I think we're one of the lowest paid.
I could give you a list.
No, I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the actual employees.
They're taking the 4 in front of the building.
No, but that's not what I'm talking about.
I can give you a list of who parks in the lot across the street, who has spots around the building, and I can give you the list and the titles of who parks down at the Washington Street Garage. But, I mean, I would, you know, I think the employee's response reflects
Thank you.
the answer to your question.
Corey?
Yes.
So has it been discussed in using the Fayette Street Garage?
So the issue is we are going to use the Fayette Garage to the max when we move folks over from City Hall Commons to Park Place. Even if, so we're not going to be able to move everybody, not everybody who works in Park Place is going to be able to park in the Fayette Garage, spoiler alert, to employees. So we're going to have to push more people down to the Washington Street Garage. The other complication too is Lot 3, which is located, you know, in that Oswego Boulevard, Water Street. I would imagine, given the efforts that the city has made in terms of asset disposition, is a parking lot the best and highest use of that property in the middle of downtown? And so is that going to remain a parking lot? Is that something that we would want to, if we have a means for people to get to and from City Hall and Park Place in a way that is safe, you know, do we put that lot up for sale? And then, you know, that increases the number of people that are walking in the parking in the Washington Street Garage. It might increase the number of people that are taking the shuttle. So, I mean, we are going to be taking as many spots as we can in the Fayette Street Garage. We also have to balance that with the income that we get. That's our highest use garage.
What's the capacity that's left in there?
I mean, the capacity, it's, you know, if you look at, we would basically be displacing most of the daily parkers that use that. So that's, you know, more than 100 that we're getting, you know, each day. I could certainly provide the numbers in terms of how many spaces are in Fayette and how many are accounted for either through contracts that we have or ordinances the council has approved of agreements with companies, you know, because obviously a lot of those folks are in one Park Place. One Park Place has welcomed a lot of new tenants, and so the use of the Fayette Garage has, is, you know, the capacity is of what's vacant is very small.
What's the monthly rate for that garage again?
So it would be, I think our monthly rate is 92 or something. I can get you the garage rates.
This is $83 a person at 100 people times 100,000 for the year, and that's actually, it's probably even more than that because.
I'd have to call Tim Rudd up for the math, but yeah, I mean,
But if
it's.
that's the case, we already have the infrastructure, so we boot all the other parkers and we put our employees in there.
So we would move everybody who's paying in the Fayette Garage.
Sorry, our priority is our employees.
I mean, I think.
We can shuttle the downtown people with a shuttle.
I think that
charge
would
them
be,
for it.
I mean, we have ordinances and contracts with some of those folks, and they moved into Park Place with the expectation that they would have that parking. We are going to move the people out that we can, but some of it is governed by ordinance.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, item number 28.
Good afternoon, councilors. John Kivland, Department of Engineering. Item number 28 is to amend an existing revocable permission with Syracuse University to add 2 additional 4-inch conduits in the right-of-way. Any questions?
He stepped off. Any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All righty. Counselor Hogan.
Thank you, President Hudson. I have items 29, 30, and 31. 29, I'm waiting more information, but this could be ready on Monday. We're going to talk in an executive session. More information from the police department, and I also had a long conversation with the applicant the other day, and I've asked him for some information too. So, but I think this will be ready after our executive session on Monday. 30 and 31, is this, I believe, Eric, do you want to talk on this? Okay. The deputy mayor wanted.
Thanks, Eric. I'll preview. Deputy Mayor Sharon Owens, you approved, I can't remember when, an application to Empire State Development, New York State, for an application submission. New York State is looking to build the capacity of New York State certified MWBEs. We replied to the RFP. We were awarded $350,000 for a one-year program. The premise of it is to provide training and support for state certified MWBEs in order to build their capacity to be able to bid on state projects. It's a program the state is using other municipalities to help build their pool of eligible MWBEs for state contracts. But we see that capacity building to help across the board for those companies. In the application, we added two partners. One was Omni Procurement, who has done work with the city of Syracuse before, and Omni Procurement will take the bulk of the work in providing the actual curriculum and the training for the companies. UMEA, who is the Minority Chamber of Commerce entity for Central New York, will take on the responsibility. We also have to make sure there's a knowledge of a pipeline of available projects available for our MWB companies that are going to go through this process, anybody else. It will be 30 individuals. I know you have seen and noticed Central New York and Mohawk Valley. The RFP required that an applicant serve a minimum of 2 regions. The closest one to us is Utica, Rome. So that's why we're serving Mohawk Valley. And so we'll serve 15 companies here in Central New York and 15 companies in these Mohawk Valley area. And so we are in the process now of back and forth with the state to enter into contract. And I wanted to get ahead of the curve to get approval to enter into contract with these 2 companies. Any questions?
Any questions?
No.
I just want to compliment the administration, Mr. Ennis. Yesterday, myself and Councilor Schultz and the mayor had a pleasure to be at the ribbon cutting of a business that is going to part of a commercial corridor, ARPA money, fund grants. Mr. Jones is the only minority contractor, a plumbing contractor.
I was saying in his city and state certified, so yeah, as an MWB.
So, I mean, this is a very effective way, and I appreciate the administration and their advancement towards making this a more equal playing field for everybody in the contracting business, so.
Let's go, Ennis.
Well, thanks, councilors.
Deputy Mayor, too, so.
I think the deputy mayor really said it all. Part of the reason I was just kind of creeping in the back here is that the Division of Business Development will be administering the program as well. So it'll be city staff that they're directly working with, but this outside expertise that necessarily city staff may not have, but how do you competitively bid on contracts and how are we prepared for the big projects coming our way? So,
One particular one in Clay.
yeah, that as well as a big transportation one too that's coming. So yeah. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you. These are all ready.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Majuk.
Thank you, Madam President. I have item 32 to 33. Who's going to take the first one?
Yay.
All right. Excellent.
Deputy Chief Julie Shulsky. For item number 32, we're looking to have an agreement with New York State DCJS for the gun-involved violence elimination grant. The money from the grant will go towards hotspot policing, focused deterrence, and street outreach. It also includes a truce case manager and a project coordinator. These individuals are employees through the Salvation Army. They provide services to gang and gun violence involved members of our community. It also includes some DCJS training and the travel costs for that training.
Has this been done before?
Yes, we've been part of this grant for quite a few years now.
Oh,
And
it's been
speaking of
pretty.
being part of this grant, can I ask you a question? Maybe you don't know, but Janet, you might know. So with this grant, it's always been the Finn Institute. So is Finn still attached to any of this money?
My understanding is
Janet?
that they are not. Sorry. My understanding is that they are not unless they are connected through another one of the partners. The county also has a contract for GIV, the DA's office. I don't know.
I know Salvation Army, they were always attached to Finn.
The fin, I think, was attached to the city at one point. It wasn't, I don't believe they were attached to Salvation Army. They were parts of,
I sat in the truce meetings.
okay.
And Salvation Army was always attached to that Robert Warmer, whatever his name is.
Warden, right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, no, they're not receiving city money anymore, and to my knowledge, at least through the police department, they are not connected. Do you want me to check the other agencies?
I'm
Sure.
going to ask again. I want to see exactly what Finn is attached to in our city and how much funding, how rich we've made them.
Okay.
So I have a quick question to tag on to Councilor Gether's question. I know that GIVES exists now, and I'm personally grateful for it in the first district because it's huge for us. But is this exactly the same amount of funding that you've been getting over the years? Is it more, is it less?
I don't know.
It's been different funding.
It's the
been
same.
higher, it's been lower.
Okay, and that case manager and project coordinator, they've been in existence as long as you've had this program, or are they new as well? Okay, okay, great. I think it's great. Every time I go to a neighborhood meeting, we hear about GIVES, it's like, thank you. So, good job.
Other questions? Thank you. 33.
Okay. Item number 33 is to appropriate funds for the neighborhood watch groups of Syracuse.
I guess this question would be for Tony. Hi, Tony.
How you doing?
Good to see you.
Tony Burley, program coordinator.
Yeah, I know last year last year you gave us a budget of a breakdown of how you going to spend the $72,000.
Okay.
Could you do that again this year, or have you already done it? Because
I did.
It's not in our agenda.
Okay, I did submit the budget as I do in January, and
So in the previous,
in January, when I do it, and this morning I received the email last night from Catherine Carnreich.
Okay, could you pull that out and just send it to either to
Sure.
me or to the clerk? And
Be more than happy to, yes.
Huh? Yeah. Okay.
Any questions?
Any other questions? Thank you for all you do, Tony.
You know, I appreciate it, but what we do is just, it's what the council does to support us. That's just, makes it a great working relationship. I see so many of you at meetings, and, it's a great working relationship. So thank you as well.
I would encourage anybody that has nothing to do at night to go to one of those neighborhood watch meetings. Believe me, it'd be better than anything on TV. So.
We have some passionate meetings, but it's everybody who is together, loving their community and wanting to be a safe place that they love to live. So,
How many meetings a month are you having?
We do, especially in the summer, over 30 a month.
So, here's a loaded question: is $72,000 enough for you?
I've never wanted to come to the council or the city and say we need more. I try to look at what we spend the previous year and always stick around that. I always kind of like to wash each year. This year, this is up from last year, and I can explain why, because you've asked for the budget. I'll send it. Our video program has, where we're doing the crime prevention videos, has been huge. We're getting over 1,000 views with the videos, several hundred views, depending on the type. And we need storage for those videos. Even though we upload them to YouTube, we keep them to edit. And the other reason is we have some companies that are a little reluctant. They want us to update because we're still using Windows 7, so they feel it's a security risk, so they want us to update. But that's why there's just a base, I'll tell you right now, $7,000 additional over last year. I appreciate the question, but I don't always want to come to the city asking for money.
Do you manage the whole coordination of these meetings?
Pardon?
Do you manage all the coordination of these meetings?
I manage everything with Neighborhood Watch. I do our website. I manage all the meetings. I do the monthly schedule. I do all the videos. Yeah, I do it all. Yes, thank you though. I appreciate it.
The meeting doesn't happen unless Tony's in the room.
I know.
Yeah, I attend all the meetings, but they're, as Councilor Hogan said, they are fun, and it's great meeting the people.
I didn't say fun. I just say
They're fun. They're fun. They're fun.
Other
Tony
questions?
and I were just together last night until what, 8:15 or so. So I would
Really?
agree, they're fun.
Counselor.
At the meeting, sir, Salem Hyde. You're welcome to come next month.
Other questions?
Good work, Tony.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Tony.
you very much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Okay, item number 34 is to enter into a contract agreement with Interfaith Works to continue our police community dialogues that fell off a couple years ago. Any questions on that?
And I saw a report, which was something that we had raised in the past, that we get a report. And it was in my mailbox, so.
Does it happen to look like this?
It was bigger than that.
Well, yeah, I just grabbed a couple of them because I knew you asked for stats
Yeah.
last time, so I wanted to make sure I had them if
So-
you guys wanted them.
So tell them we appreciate it. Any other questions, councilors, in regards to this?
No.
I just want to say, I think that because the last 2 years, we had some concerns with how it was being done through the dialogue. This year, I'm more comfortable with it for the fact that we know that Bishop Collette is actually going to be more
In the lead.
balanced and more fair, and she's going to run the dialogues in a way that they should be run. And she's more culturally capable. So I'm okay with
Yeah,
it.
Bishop
It's a
Collette is
necessary
right.
service,
For sure.
definitely.
For sure, I agree. All right.
Okay,
Thank
other
you.
questions?
No.
All right,
Well,
that would be it for me.
Before we adjourn, we have a school here. Where are you from?
Syracuse University.
Oh, okay, Syracuse University, yeah, in the house. Alrighty. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Alrighty, we're adjourned.
I just got a question. I just have a question about